Which one of you kids is on the internet? My Skype call with your mother keeps dropping out.
Well, I can still hear you, but the screen's gone dead.
Dada! I'm just trying to download all 12 series of RuPaul's Drag Race for Year 12 English while being on Zoom with my friends. Kimberly, is it you?
Oh, my God, Mum. Toby and me are trying out the state government backflip exemption to romantic couples from different households getting it on with each other.
Good evening, Mr and Mrs Carbuncle.
If you want us, we'll be using your bedroom.
Don't touch your face. Oh, that'll be the pizza.
I told them to leave it on the lawn at the end of the driveway.
Sanitise the knob before you touch it.
We haven't got time for that, woman. I've got to answer the door. What?
Good evening, sir. Did you order half Four Seasons, quarter Hawaiian, no pineapple, and quarter vegetarian with double beef and bacon?
Good God, ma'am. Can't you ring the doorbell from 1.5 metres away?
Well, I did, sir, but then I raced up here in the hopes that you'd give me a tip.
I'll give you a tip. Get out of here before I call the police to come and slap a fine on you.
Oh, please, sir, please. Times are tough, and I haven't been well. My last delivery was the Ruby Princess, and they didn't give me anything.
I find that very difficult to believe. Hang on. There's nothing in this box.
Yes, I left the pizza at the end of the driveway, as you asked, sir.
What?
Well, don't worry, missus. I rinsed it off under the tap after I touched it.
Well, why did you give me an empty box?
Well, it's called misdirection, sir. Would you like me to go and fetch it for you?
No, I'll go. I'm bloody starving.
Oh, no, I wouldn't go out there, madam. It's not a very convincing exterior.
Is there anything else?
Well, just a little something, sir, to tide me over until our economy rebounds. After all, you don't really want dirty virus-carrying cash and coins in your house, do you?
Very good point. Come in.
Oh, thank you very much, sir. And can I use your toilet?
Good evening. Well, as an agrarian communist dedicated to the overthrowing of the state, I have, of course, been looking forward to the fall of capitalism ever since I was radicalised by the ABC as a child, listening to the Argonauts Club. But now that capitalism is dead, I've got to say I kind of miss it. Actually, I shouldn't say it's dead. It's on life support, and the government are doing everything they can. But let's be honest, it wasn't doing too well even before the coronavirus came along. Our growth rate in December was only 0.5%, which is roughly the rate your hair and fingernails grow per day after they bury you. There are hopeful signs, though, and I want to be hopeful tonight. Apparently,
the stimulus package had an immediate impact on the market, lifting the All Ordinaries to its best trading day in 40 years.
Its best trading day in 40 years. Well, that's encouraging, isn't it? People losing their jobs, businesses shutting down, we can't go out, there's no toilet paper, and these are the preferred conditions for the market. Is this the sort of market we want? I don't want a market that's built on schadenfreude, that delights in the misery of others. That's what the Logies is for. It's times like this you find out who your real friends are, and the market isn't one of them. I say when this thing is over, we get ourselves a new market in which a financial crisis is as shattered and as vulnerable as we are. Who's with me? Everybody, that's great. Anyway, our economy's been put into an induced coma and is having money pumped into it. Government subsidised wages, low-interest loans, increased welfare and free childcare. Now, one of our greatest Prime Ministers, Malcolm Turnbull, famously described Bill Shorten as the most dangerous left-wing leader of the Labor Party we'd seen in generations. And imagine his surprise when we ended up electing the most dangerous left-wing leader of the Liberal Party we'd ever seen. I can only imagine what John Howard, a fiscal conservative, must be thinking at the moment. It's probably, well, I hope he doesn't take away our franking credits. But this is no time for bad impressions, is it, Spokesborg for the Finance Minister, Matthias Cormann, Darius Horsham?
I'll say.
Because you've had some good news this last week, with an anticipated June unemployment rate of 17% being downgraded to 9%. Matthias must, for him, be pretty happy.
You ain't whistling Dixie, brother.
And I suppose with more people working than everybody first thought, the economy won't take as long to recover.
Oh, Shaun, don't shit on my leg and tell me it's a brown kitten.
But we'll pay off the $1 trillion debt faster, won't we?
Don't make me laugh. I told you not to make me laugh.
But surely, if more people are working...
Shaun, you're being an economic girly man. These people aren't working, they are employed.
But they're working.
Hello, McFly, is there anybody home?
So they're unemployed?
The people remain employed because the government is paying their employers $130 billion to pay them, even if they are doing nothing because their place of employment is closed due to the coronavirus.
So the government is paying people money to do nothing?
No, the government is paying people money to do nothing to keep the unemployment rate from spiking to 17% in June.
Well, then we could have an unemployment rate of 0 if we just reclassified anyone on any form of welfare as employed by the government.
But that would be welfare, Shaun, and this isn't welfare. Welfare is a dirty, lousy, rotten thing, and I hate it. This is the private sector paying the wages to the employees like everything is normal. La la, la la, it's off to work we go. Yeah, except it's, you know, from home when you're watching the television.
Yes, but the money's still coming from the government, though, isn't it?
Come on, think, McFly, think. You are not understanding. It's coming from the employer, not Centrelink, so they don't count as the unemployed.
Yes, but what's the difference?
About 11% in the latest news poll.
Finally, Darius, given the massive debt you're racking up at the moment, what would you rather have right now? The promise of 12 submarines that'll be obsolete upon completion, or the $80 billion they're going to cost us?
I would rather have those submarines now, so we could have torpedoed those damn cruise ships.
$80 billion, though? Plug a bit of a hole, wouldn't it?
The Scott Morrison and the Josh Frydenberg would just find some other worthy cause to go and spend it on. I'm telling you, Shaun, trying to get them to rein in the spending these days is like trying to get an ice addict to take up knitting.
Well, thank you, Darius.
Fantastic.
Now, despite the ban on elective surgery, this week, Australia has managed to flatten the curve. So is it time to shake hands, sneeze on each other, break open all our hoarded alcohol and get off our faces, which we could then touch? Here's Deputy Chief Medical Officer Nick Coatsworth.
It is no time to take our foot off the accelerator.
And let's get a second opinion from the other Deputy Chief Medical Officer, Paul Kelly.
But it's not time to take the foot off the brake.
So Australia is keeping one foot on the accelerator and the other one on the brake. The only conclusion I can come to is that this country is doing these. Yeah. And I guess it's true. We're not going anywhere, but we are amusing ourselves. Mind you, it is important to stay well informed during the crisis because medical advice can change very quickly. Paul Kelly again.
So I'm happy to take questions now. Yeah, oh, that's it. No questions. Thank you.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up, isn't it? Of course, there's another different way of looking at where we are with the virus. Dr Coatsworth again.
I think it's clear that we've landed a punch on COVID-19, but it's by no means on the canvas.
And it can last 72 hours on canvas, so we need to keep punching, as we have been. Yeah. And still to come in sport, Tokyo's new logo for next year's postponed Olympics, and can the racing industry be saved by getting rid of the jockeys and having the horses drive unused Formula One vehicles? Plus, to the list of toilet paper, rice, pasta and alcohol, we can now add the latest item being purchased in extraordinary numbers, gym equipment.
This is the new toilet paper of Sydney.
Well, you use anything when you're desperate, I suppose. Still, it's going to create a nasty fatberg in the sewers. But right now, 5 cruise ships anchored in Australian waters were assisted to return to their home port on the weekend. And I say weekend because when you confine to your house every day, who can tell the difference anymore? 2 other ships are still stranded here, though. Mad as Hell's infected cruise ship reporter Lois Price joins us now. And Lois, as I understand it, you worked for many years as activities officer on Fair Start the Fun ship.
Yeah, that's right, Shaun. I reckon I've seen more coits in my time than a proctologist.
Well, there are a lot of passengers and crew who'd like to get their coits off the Ruby Princess and the Artania right now.
Yeah, I don't think anyone realised that the term trip of a lifetime referred to how long they'd be stuck on the ship.
So why has it taken so long to move on these cruise ships from Sydney Harbour, Lois?
Well, Shaun, from my position high in the sky, I think we've concentrated so much on stopping the boats that we forgot how to start them back up again. Make sure your home is the envy of guests who aren't allowed to come over at the moment with a semi-professional paint job from Vin Colgate Interiors. Vin uses only the cheapest and most toxic high-odour paints available so he can pass the savings directly on to his family. And because his team of non-English speaking illegal immigrants don't hold working visas, they don't want any trouble, meaning they'll probably finish the job. For a free in-home consultation, call someone else. Fins are $120 an hour. I'm Lois Price for Mad as Hell.
Thank you, Lois. It's often said that the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is that good men do nothing. And it helps too if the good men are enormously rich and that when they do something they're doing to stop the evil, it involves a lot of cash. And that's why I was so pleased when I read that Cardboard Box King and Australia's richest man, Anthony Pratt, had generously donated $1 million for a silver bullet solution to the coronavirus. Man in charge of the loose change, Anthony Pratt has in the console of his car, Huntley Fink. That sounds a bit stingy.
Oh, $1 million is a lot of money, Shaun. In fact, I bought a pile of it and dumped it on the floor over there to demonstrate just how much it is. You could fund 100 more years of Gardening Australia with that.
I know, it's just that according to Forbes magazine, Anthony is worth $9.5 billion US. In Australian dollars, $17 billion.
The RBA have loaned 5 times that to the Commonwealth Government as part of the Australian stimulus package.
Yeah, but that's for all of us. That $17 billion is just for Anthony.
And his family.
Yeah, but still...
Listen, he's not made of money, Shaun.
Yes, I know. A lot of him is recycled cardboard.
Anthony has contributed a lot to society over the years.
Yeah, but if he or Pratt Consolidated Holdings had, say, paid some tax during the 2013-14 financial year on the over $2 billion in total income earned instead of nothing at all, that might have been more helpful.
Anthony abides by all the tax laws in this country, Shaun. That $1 million he's donating is, for example, completely tax deductible, and Anthony will be taking full advantage of that.
But
This coronavirus business is hitting the BRW rich list pretty hard, Shaun. Gina Reinhardt has overtaken Anthony as this country's richest person. Even Twiggy Forrest is nipping at his arse. So don't you wag your finger at Anthony Pratt like I'm doing to you now. Unlike the Australian Mint, he doesn't have a licence to print money. Although Visy are looking to get one.
Thank you, Huntley. Continuity is terrible on this show. And coming up after the break, I talk to economist Miley DeGo from Creep Investments about the unpredictability of the stock market.
So the progress of those trade agreements will be critical.
You're advising investors to be patient.
Of course I'm advising them to be patient, you dead shit!
Can we expect more of this volatility, though?
Yes, I think so.
What do you believe causes it?
How the fuck would I know?
Well, back with more momentarily. So that went well, I thought.
Thank you. I was a bit nervous.
Well, before the First Nation peoples were in charge, things were totally different. And things would never be the same again.
Cook, what you did was incredible. I want more white males like you on my team.
But James, she's your queen. You've got to obey her.
This is our opportunity to establish a lot more than a new penal colony.
You're on the wrong side of history, James. Unless you're prepared to jump ship.
Look, Her Majesty had to cut a deal. You and your crew were just collateral.
I'm sick to death of pretending everything's okay.
They read your letter to the Times. They think you might be a threat.
This country is facing an existential crisis.
If you wanted a country where people live together in peace and harmony, James, you should have discovered America.
Sir, a gross of cane toads have arrived by camel train.
Infect them with myxomatosis and release them into the wild along with the camels.
Totally cooked.
Don't you ever pull a stunt like that on me again.
Coming soon.
Welcome back. Well, one enterprising Victorian man is organising a benefit concert, Corona Aid, to raise money for vaccine research. Rudy Gussett, thanks for your time. Tell us some of the names you've got.
Oh, wanker, moron, dead shit.
Sorry, I meant what acts have you got lined up?
All the top acts from around the country, Shaun. Too many to mention.
To the police?
Yes.
And where is the concert?
At my music bowl, Shaun.
And tickets? How many people are you hoping for?
2. That's the limit.
Right.
Well, actually, no. I'll have to revise that down to 1 because there'll have to be someone else there to check the ticket.
And so how much are you hoping to raise, Rudy?
$45.95, Shaun.
Have you thought of maybe moving the concert to an online platform?
No.
OK. I mean, what would you lose by doing it online instead?
Oh, the atmosphere, Shaun. Nothing quite like the live experience.
Well, good luck, Rudy.
Yeah, thanks heaps, Shaun. I'll put that ticket aside for you. No charge.
Well, the government's multi-billion-dollar JobKeeper payment has met with almost universal approval from employers and employees and earned the coalition widespread praise. Head of Hygiene in Anthony Albanese's office, Butt Spag. Does Labor give the government a big tick for this one?
Well, it's a good plan, Shaun, and Labor's delighted the government's changed its mind and adopted this plan.
It's changed its mind?
Well, initially they weren't too keen, but Labor's not looking to pat itself on the back here. You know, I say good on the government for listening.
Who to?
Look, Labor's not concerned who gets the credit for this. We've been constructive and supportive of the government's decision to eventually implement a series of measures that we put forward some time ago.
Oh, so this was Labor's idea?
Look, this isn't the time to play politics, Shaun, and quite frankly, I don't think people care whose idea it was.
All right, so when the government initially proposed their plan...
Well, I think accuracy is still important.
So it wasn't their plan?
That's not for me to say, Shaun. That's for you to say and me to verify as 100% correct.
Well, thanks, Bart. We better leave it there.
I'm glad you agree.
Well, later in the show, we ask, what will social distancing do to open-plan toilets? Plus, I'm interrupted by someone in the audience.
Excuse me, Shaun?
Not yet. About the man who was fined $1,000 after he was caught eating a kebab on a park bench. Now...
Yeah, Shaun, I'm the owner of the kebab shop who sold the kebab in question.
Well, I don't think the kebab was the problem.
It's appalling, Shaun. The kebab-buying public has suffered enough, especially after all the good work our industry has done in the name of social distancing over many years. In fact, Kebab Barn has just released a new hospital-grade garlic sauce, guaranteed active to a distance of at least 1.5 metres. Come on, have a smell.
No, I'm good.
Just...
No.
Beautiful.
Sure. Well, faulty face masks and protective clothing from China have been seized by the Australian Border Force. Among the haul are 800,000 masks worth $1.2 million. The dodgy material arriving just as the pandemic was really taking off. Joe Walker from Walker & Walker's Discount Clearance Warehouse, you're pretty angry about this.
Yeah, I am, Shaun. I figure, why are we bloody importing these dodgy knockoffs from China when my partner and me are perfectly capable of making stuff just as dodgy or worse right here in Australia?
This isn't a racist thing, is it? Because these masks are coming from China.
Well, a bit, yeah, obviously. But the key issue here is national pride. I mean, 800,000 masks that don't work properly with a street value of 1.2 mil. My brother and me could have made half that number for double the price. Now, that's a 100% markup on their ineffectiveness because 400,000 people aren't wearing them and twice the money that stays here in our black market economy.
Well, several European governments have rejected Chinese-made equipment in recent days. Thousands of testing kits and masks on the basis that they're below standard or defective. This is in Spain, Turkey and the Netherlands. The Dutch Health Ministry said it had recalled 600,000 face masks.
Oh, that is an extraordinary feat of memory.
That's a lot of dodgy masks when you add them to Australia's 800,000.
Oh, yeah, well, the global market's crying out for this sort of shonky, she'll be right, doesn't matter level of half-arsedness. I mean, look at that quality. That's fresh off the back of our van this morning.
Yeah, it's not very good.
Not very good, it's shithouse. You call that 3-ply ear-loop non-woven FDA disposable antivirus surgical face mask? Be lucky if it's 1-ply and not sneezed on already from the inside. You should be disposing of that before you use it. And that's our guarantee.
It's a family business.
Dad does the non-Australian design standard approved children's toys, Mum looks after our flammable clothing line, Sis does the Latvian liqueur chocolates, and my brother and me, the totally defective and totally unreliable medical accoutrement. Between us, disappointing clientele since 2017. We are inseparable.
Yeah, but not tonight.
Well, hygiene safety is very important to us both.
Are you social distancing?
No, he's just using your sink over there.
It'll be with you in a second.
Don't forget to wash your hands.
Oh, urine is very good for psoriasis, eczema and fungal infections.
Well, he'd know. He suffers from all three.
Well, it's often said that if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear from the police. But now we're required to self-isolate. Not hiding yourself has itself become a crime. With, on Wednesday alone, New South Wales police fining 13 people for breaching isolation. On Wednesday alone. So at least Wednesday's in the clear. Thank you. But what's confusing is that, in some cases, people were fined while in the process of committing other crimes. And this is a setup for someone to interrupt me from the audience.
Yeah, excuse me, mate. Excuse me, Shaun.
Yes, Samilla Bang from the Australian Criminal Workers Union.
Yeah, maybe, yeah, it depends.
Yeah.
But, like, I reckon it's not fair, right? Because my members were all doing the fucking right thing, right? Wearing fucking gloves and fucking masks before anyone else was, you know? And we have a legitimate need, right, to be outside as part of our, like, illegitimate activities. Like, say you're casing a joint for a ram raid, right? Like, what, are you supposed to do that at home over fucking Google Street fucking view? You know how fucking out of date that fucking thing is?
Yeah, but you are doing things that are illegal.
Yeah, but there's ambiguity, mate. Like, say the pigs collar you when you're fucking trying to fucking break and enter, right? You know? OK, yeah, the breaking is bad, right? But the entering is like my fucking civil duty of getting off the streets, mate. So they should fucking cancel They should fucking cancel each other out, mate.
Hello? Hello?
Oh, they've got us under house arrest before we've even done nothing, mate. Like, I should have to right to fucking prove my fucking self guilty in a court of fucking law, you know? And if we have to be stuck inside, then I'm like petitioning the government, right, for credit for time served, mate, and my fucking members to be able to commit an equivalent value of fucking crimes on release, mate, because, you know, you fucking do the time, you do the crime.
Yes. Well, thank you, Zamilla.
Fucking...
And coming up a little later on, in fact now, I discuss why the Australian Border Force doesn't blame itself for the Ruby Princess debacle or the one at Sydney Airport with Vice Rear Cabin Boy Sir Bobo Gargle.
Wouldn't this make more sense if you were interviewing that bald character Tosh does, or the one I play from the AFP?
Well, the military have been assisting both the Australian Border Force and the Australian Federal Police, so I thought you were in the best position to talk about this.
Well, all right. But be warned, the Australian Defence Force will not be used as dressing to make something look more credible. Unless, of course, it's the Prime Minister.
The ADF have been helping with the repatriation of Australian citizens, haven't they?
Oh, yes. We've been picking them up from the airport, helping them with their baggage, driving them to their hotels and doing a damn fine job. 3 stars on TripAdvisor.
So who was responsible for what went on with the Ruby Princess?
Well, Shaun, the ABS responsibilities are contraband and ensuring everyone has a visa. If someone has the virus, that's biosecurity.
What if they have the virus in a vial that they're trying to illegally smuggle into the country?
Well, then it's contraband and it comes within the ABF remit.
And what if they're smuggling that vial inside themselves?
Well, still contraband and still within the ABF's purview. And I do mean perv. Unless the vial breaks and leaks into their person, then it's biosecurity again.
And while they're down there checking whether it's biosecurity's responsibility or the ABF's, could they smuggle a thermometer up there to check for a fever?
Well, Shaun, taking people's temperatures is the Health Department's responsibility. Monitoring social distancing is a state police function. Foreign medical professionals who breach quarantine is up to the AFP. And that ambassador DFAT had to warn for not self-isolating when he got back from overseas is not a coronavirus risk because he had diplomatic immunity.
Well, it was a long walk, but we got there.
Look, if it were up to me, Shaun, the Ruby Princess and these other boatloads of illegals would be towed back out to sea, turned around and never talked about. Unless, of course, it was politically expedient.
And the social distancing at Sydney Airport?
Well, as a Navy man, I'm not sure I'm the best one to judge what is an appropriate social distance, given I've spent most of my life packed cheek by jowl in close quarters with my crew, with only the thin fabric of our sailor outfits between us. If that.
Finally, Bobo, the federal government has been criticised for taking so long to let Australians see the data that they base their coronavirus policy on. If you were in charge and the Chief Medical Officer hadn't released the modelling to the media yesterday, what would you have done?
Well, I would have taken it upon myself to release the modelling!
Kraken is well suited to deal with the coronavirus. Though he has 8 arms, he has no hands to touch his face, but 8 elbows to cough or sneeze into. When in Sydney, the Kraken chooses to self-isolate in the Siebel Townhouse or just walk around the city. And sorry, ladies, he's got no genitalia.
When this ant is threatened, it will leave the colony and complain to Rachel in HR.
That's Shaun Micallef's Whining Pussy Ants of Tierra del Fuego, Sundays at 13:07 or on either jury.
Welcome back. Well, there's been a bit in the papers this last week about the role God has to play in all this COVID-19 business. The PM took part in an online prayer session for a group that asked if coronavirus was a punishment from God, whereas, on the other hand, Margaret Court's church thinks that the blood of Jesus will protect us from the coronavirus, which I hope is not the case, because then everybody will be panic buying the blood of Jesus. And the last thing we need is people fighting each other in the name of religion. Which is why I'm glad the Religious Freedom Bill, designed to protect LGBTQI+ kids from discrimination, has been put on the back burner. With us not knowing why God is punishing us, the last thing we need to mess with is what was working perfectly well beforehand. But faith is important to a lot of Australians, and after all this is over, we need to protect it from weirdos. Rancid Tissue has more.
Rubber nipples, disgusting and unnatural. Anusole, pain while straining at stool is God's way of telling us to repent. Petroleum jelly, may you burn in hell.
Casper Jonquill has been working as a stock boy at Micallef's pharmacy for a week now and has a religious objection to selling most, if not all, of their products. Ron Micallef is concerned.
I took Casper on because I knew his parents fairly well and felt I owed them a favour when the morning after pill I sold to his mother didn't work. But this Religious Freedom Act, it's giving me all sorts of problems. I can't sack him if he conscientiously objects to stocking products that genuinely offend his faith.
Revlon age-defying firming and lifting makeup. The devil's work. Corn pads. Yum. Well, I like corn.
Well, I have no problem with him conscientiously objecting. I just wish he wouldn't do it so loudly. But then I guess you get into all sorts of free speech issues, don't you?
No, I'm pan-denominational. I believe in all religions so as not to discriminate. Jesus, Allah, Buddha, Krishna, Ra, Thor, Prince Philip, that dead cat that runs the railway station in Japan, God, Yahweh, Jehovah, Bog, Akal Parak, Ahura Mazda. You name him or her or it or them and I believe in them 100%.
Fortunately for Ron Micallef and his business, Casper only comes into work 1 day a week.
Yeah. Well, he's employed full-time, but he takes off so many religious holidays he can't do too much damage. I guess that's the yin and yang of this Religious Freedom Act.
How dare you take the terms of my tower spirituality in vain? The angst you're causing me has brought on my stigmata again. See? I'm off on sick leave again until it heals.
I will take as much time as you like.
Don't you try and oppress me, Torquemada, or I'll be on the phone to Christian Porter's PA faster than he can hang up on me. Barbara will have to do the heavy lifting now. No judgment, but she's a godless atheist who will burn in hell come Judgment Day.
Casper will spend his stress leave next door, where he works part-time at the gay wedding cake shop we did the sketch about last week.
Oi, you're late. Now get in there and start making unleavened bread or I'll have you stoned to death.
Barbara doesn't believe in God, but that doesn't mean she doesn't have problems with the Religious Freedoms Act. For example, like Casper, she's pro-life and doesn't believe in contraception.
Mr Micallef?
Unlike Casper, though, this comes from a deeply felt moral viewpoint rather than commitment to any religious dogma, and so she is not protected by the Religious Freedoms Act.
It's not a religious objection. You put it on there, please. Thank you.
What kind of world do we live in where we can discriminate against the blind prejudice of someone just because they don't believe in something that's imaginary anyway? Why should Barbara's small-minded bigotry be treated any differently to Casper's? Surely in this pluralistic society, we should all be more tolerant. And a packet of black jelly beans, please.
We don't stock them because of apartheid.
Well, that's fucking stupid.
Well, not coming up because... What's it called?
Can't ask that.
You can't ask that. It's on in a minute.
Safety first as passengers are flown back into Australia. Green left outraged at wood chipping of old-growth flowers. And no surprises as Putin leans to the left.
And finally, a man has been arrested after being inspired to make weapons from watching a television series. He also constructed an explosive device. Police haven't revealed what the TV series was, but if it showed him how to make a bomb, then I'm guessing it was probably an in-house production from Channel 7. Goodbye.
Giant baby.